I earned my degree online at Arizona State University. I chose to get my degree at ASU because I knew that I'd get a quality education, they were recognized for excellence, and that I would be prepared for the workforce upon graduating. To be associated with ASU, both as a student and alum, it makes me extremely proud, and having experienced the program, I know now that I'm set up for success. Learn more at asuonline.asu.edu.
Ahead of the United Nations UN General Assembly slated for September 2025, the President of France, Emmanuel Macron, on Thursday issued a statement and said that France will recognize the State of Palestine at the UN coming meeting of heads of states as a way to put an end to the war in Gaza so that the civilian populations in the Palestinian city can be rescued, also describing the move as France's historical commitment to a just and lasting peace in the Middle East. The Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, within an hour issued a counter-press statement and said that the State of Israel condemned the decision of France's president to recognize the State of Palestine, stressing that such move by France rewards terror and risks creating another Iran Proxy that will be a launch pad to annihilate Israel. According to the President of France, Emmanuel Macron, true to its historic commitment to a just and lasting peace in the Middle East, I have decided that France will recognize the State of Palestine. I will make the solemn announcement at the United Nations General Assembly next September. The urgency is today for the war in Gaza to end and the civilian population to be rescued. Peace is possible. There is an immediate ceasefire, the release of all hostages and massive humanitarian aid to the people of Gaza. We must also guarantee the demilitarization of Hamas, secure and rebuild Gaza. At last, it is necessary to build the State of Palestine, ensure its viability, and allow that by accepting its demilitarization and fully acknowledging Israel, it participates in the safety of everyone in the Middle East. There is no alternative. The French want peace in the Middle East. It is up to us, the French, together with Israelis, the Palestinians, our European and international partners, to demonstrate that it is possible. In light of the commitments that the President of the Palestinian Authority made to me, I wrote to him my determination to move forward. Trust, clarity and commitment. We will win peace, the French President stated. In a swift reaction, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu reacted and said, "We strongly condemn President Macron's decision to recognize a Palestinian state next to Tel Aviv in the wake of the October 7th massacre. Such a move rewards terror and risks creating another Iranian proxy, just as Gaza became. A Palestinian state in these conditions would be a launch pad to annihilate Israel, not to live in peace beside it. Let's be clear, the Palestinians do not seek a state alongside Israel, they seek a state instead of Israel." Meanwhile, it would be recalled that Daily Sabah news media on May 28, 2025 reported that Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto said he would consider diplomatic ties with Israel only if it recognized a Palestinian state, speaking during talks with French President Emmanuel Macron in Jakarta. Indonesia, the world's most populous Muslim-majority nation, has no formal ties with Israel and has consistently called for a two-state solution to the decades-long conflict. On various occasions, I have said that Indonesia sees the two-state solution and the freedom of Palestine is the only way to achieve the true peace, he told a news conference. I also emphasized that we must acknowledge and guarantee Israel's rights as a sovereign country that must be paid attention to and guaranteed safety. Indonesia has stated that once Israel recognizes Palestine, Indonesia is ready to recognize Israel and open the diplomatic relationship. In a joint statement, France and Indonesia called for progress on mutual recognition between Israel and the Palestinians at an international conference meant to resurrect the idea of a two-state solution next month, June 2025, which Paris will co-chair. The conference should restore a political prospect of a peaceful settlement of this conflict, which should allow for an irreversible path toward the realization of a Palestinian state, and mutual recognition between Israel and Palestine, they said. Support for the Palestinian cause runs high in Indonesia and the issue regularly prompts protests. In 2023, FIFA stripped Indonesia as the Under-20 World Cup hosts after some prominent politicians called for Israel to be kicked out of the tournament and refused to host its team. On the other hand, Al Jazeera on the 18th of July 2024 reported that Israel's parliament has passed a resolution that overwhelmingly rejected the establishment of a Palestinian state, Israeli media reported. The resolution passed in the Knesset with 68 votes in favor and just 9 against it early on Thursday. It said that a Palestinian state would pose an existential danger to the state of Israel and its citizens, perpetuate the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and destabilize the region. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's coalition with far-right parties co-sponsored the resolution. Opposition leader Yair Lapid's center-left party left the session to avoid supporting the statement, despite previously saying he favored a two-state solution, the Times of Israel newspaper reported. Mustafa Barghouti, the Secretary General of the Palestinian National Initiative, slammed the passing of the resolution. No Zionist party from both the government and the opposition voted against the resolution, he wrote on X. This resolution represents a rejection of peace with Palestinians and an official declaration of the death of the Oslo Agreement, Barghouti posted. The Oslo Accords, which were first signed between Palestinian and Israeli leaders in 1993, called for a viable and sovereign Palestinian state living side by side with an Israeli state. But Israel has continued to adopt policies such as building illegal settlements on Palestinian lands across the occupied West Bank and a complete blockade of Gaza. Palestinian Authority official Hussein al-Sheikh condemned the resolution on social media, saying the Knesset's rejection confirms the racism of the occupying state and its disregard for international law and international legitimacy, and its insistence on the approach and policy of perpetuating the occupation forever. Jordan's Ministry of Foreign Affairs said the resolution's approval was a dangerous violation of international law. Israel's continued efforts to deny the Palestinians inalienable right to their independent and sovereign state along the lines of June 4, 1967, with occupied Jerusalem as its capital, does not bring security and peace in the region, read a statement citing the ministry's spokesperson Sufyan al-Quda. The Times of Israel quoted the resolution as saying, "It will only be a matter of a short time until Hamas takes over the Palestinian state and turns it into a radical Islamic terror base, working in coordination with the Iranian-led Axis to eliminate the state of Israel." It added that a Palestinian state at this time would be a reward for terrorism and will only encourage Hamas and its supporters to see this as a victory, referring to the Hamas-led attacks on October 7 in southern Israel that triggered the current conflict. The decision, however, is not new for the Knesset, which has previously rejected Palestinian statehood. A growing number of countries have recognized Palestinian statehood, including Spain, Slovenia, Norway, Ireland and others. The resolution comes as Netanyahu is expected to address the United States Congress next week in Washington, D.C., which has caused divisions among Democratic Party lawmakers who have spoken out against Israel's conduct in its war on Gaza. On Wednesday, United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres said that Israel's policy in the occupied West Bank was dooming any prospect of a two-state solution. Through administrative and legal steps, Israel is changing the geography of the West Bank, Guterres said in a statement read by his Chief of Staff, Courtney Rattray, during a meeting of the UN Security Council. Recent developments are driving a stake through the heart of any prospect for a two-state solution, he said. We must change course. All settlement activity must cease immediately. The UN chief added that the settlements were a flagrant violation of international law and an obstacle to peace with Palestinians.
Bringing you the news in a more digital way.
Clearwater Police Department in Florida, United States has confirmed that World Wrestling Champion Terry Bolley aka Hulk Hogan died on Thursday morning around 11:17 a.m. after the personnel of the Clearwater City Fire and Police Departments responded to an emergency medical report at about 9:51 a.m. and administered first aid treatment of cardiac arrest to Hulk Hogan before he was rushed to Morton Plant Hospital where he was pronounced dead. According to the Clearwater Police Department in a video press briefing held a few hours ago, the Clearwater Fire Department and Clearwater Police Department personnel responded to a medical call at 9:51 a.m. today in the 1000 block of El Dorado Avenue on Clearwater Beach. The nature of the call was for a cardiac arrest. A 71-year-old resident, Terry Bolly, also known as Hulk Hogan, was treated by Clearwater Fire and Rescue crews before being taken by Sunstar to Morton Plant Hospital, where he was pronounced deceased. Major Nate Burnside briefed the press about the police and fire response to a medical call involving Terry Bolly, also known as Hulk Hogan. A video of the scene outside Hogan's residence shows responders desperately trying to save his life as he was transported to an ambulance. In the clip, several paramedics appear to be conducting chest compressions as Hogan is wheeled to the emergency vehicle. It may be recalled that a few weeks ago, Hogan's wife, Sky, whom he married in September 2023, denied rumors he was in a coma, stating his heart was strong as he recovered from surgeries. Some local media in the United States had reported last month that Hogan was on his deathbed, but the reports were denied with statements that as at the time he was just dealing with the symptoms of a neck procedure he underwent in May 2025. The global sports icon, Hulk Hogan, undoubtedly transformed professional wrestling into a family entertainment sports. Before Hulk, wrestling catered to a fairly narrow audience. Hulk's theatrics in the ring were magnetic for children and their parents, and it supercharged the sport. Hogan kickstarted a pop culture phenomenon with Hulkamania, after defeating the Iron Sheik for the World Heavyweight Championship in 1984, a craze that never went away, and his signature bandana and handlebar mustache were often copied by fans in crowds for decades. In 1996, Hulk created the NWO, New World Order, and became Hollywood Hulk Hogan. It propelled him and professional wrestling to even more fame. Hogan had countless iconic performances which included a matchup against Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson at WrestleMania X8 in 2002 and a face-off with Andre the Giant at WM3, and had memorable feuds with Ultimate Warrior and Randy Savage. Hulk was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2005. He was removed in 2015 after a scandal erupted over racist comments while he was being secretly recorded during a sexual encounter. Gawker posted the clip and Hulk subsequently sued, winning the lawsuit. Hulk was inducted a second time in the WWE Hall of Fame in 2020, this time as a member of NWO. World Wrestling Entertainment, WWE, released a statement on Hogan's death, saying, "One of pop culture's most recognizable figures, Hogan helped WWE achieve global recognition in the 1980s. WWE extends its condolences to Hogan's family, friends, and fans." Hulk was the star of the 2024 Republican National Convention, when he set the room ablaze with theatrics. Hulk had an amazingly successful movie career, beginning in 1982, with Rocky III, playing the iconic character Thunderlips. He also starred in No Holds Barred, Suburban Commando, and Mr. Nanny, and there's more. Hogan starred in the hit VH1 reality show, Hogan Knows Best, with his family, Linda, Nick and Brooke. In details, WWE in a statement on its website said, "Legendary WWE Hall of Famer Hulk Hogan passes away. WWE is saddened to learn that Terry Bolly, recognized globally as legendary WWE Hall of Famer Hulk Hogan, has passed away on July 24 at 71. One of pop culture's most recognizable figures, Hogan helped WWE achieve global recognition with the Hulkamania craze of the 1980s and reignited sports entertainment's popularity in the 1990s through his leadership of the New World Order in WCW. Whether he was a hero or villain, clad in red and yellow or black and white, the Hulkster was always one of the ring's most popular and enduring stars. Hogan abandoned a career in music with his Tampa, Florida-based band, Ruckus, when he was discovered by WWE Hall of Famers Jack and Jerry Briscoe. In 1977, Hogan began training with Hiro Matsuda, who intentionally broke Hogan's lower leg just to see if he was passionate enough to return to training in the ring or would instead return to playing bass guitar. A year later, on August 10, 1977, Hogan had his first match against Brian Blair in Fort Myers, Florida, for Championship Wrestling from Florida. Hogan competed under a mask as Super Destroyer in Florida and then teamed with his friend Ed Leslie, who would become Brutus Beefcake, as brothers Terry and Ed Boulder in Alabama, Tennessee and Georgia. It was after appearing on a local talk show in Memphis with TV's Incredible Hulk, Lou Ferrigno, that he began calling himself Terry, the Hulk, Boulder because he was so much larger than Ferrigno. He first appeared in WWE in 1979 and was named Hulk Hogan by Vincent J. McMahon. As a villain, Hogan defeated the future $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, in his first match at Madison Square Garden, challenged Bob Backlund for the WWE Championship, and collided with Andre the Giant 8 years before WrestleMania 3 in August 1980 at New York City's Shea Stadium. After appearing in Rocky III, Hogan spent the next 3 years competing for Vern Ganzow and Antonio Inoki's New Japan Pro Wrestling. Hogan then made the move to WWE, where he defeated the Iron Sheik to become WWE champion on January 23, 1984, beginning a pop culture craze that would be known as Hulkamania. For nearly a decade, WWE and Hulkamania's footprints grew together. WWE expanded to nationally syndicated television, then pay-per-view, with Hogan headlining in a litany of classics, including teaming with television's biggest star, Mr. T, at the first WrestleMania and defeating Andre the Giant in front of more than 93,000 fans at WrestleMania 3. All told, Hulk Hogan racked up an unprecedented 5 WWE championships, main evented WrestleMania 8 times, and sold millions of t-shirts, toys and anything else you could imagine bearing the red and yellow before leaving WWE in August 1993. The Hulkster planned on putting his full-time sports entertainment days behind him and started a career as a television star on the syndicated Thunder in Paradise. However, it wasn't long until he was drawn into sports entertainment again, this time by Nature Boy, Ric Flair and new WCW executive producer Eric Bischoff. Using Turner Broadcasting's budget, Bischoff signed Hogan to a 7-figure, part-time contract. In his debut match, Hogan, with Mr. T in his corner and Shaquille O'Neal at ringside, defeated Flair for the WCW World Heavyweight Championship on the Bash at the Beach pay-per-view in Orlando, Florida. After 2 years of dominating his competition, Hogan did the unthinkable when he betrayed both WCW fans and WCW heroes Sting, Lex Luger and Randy Savage by joining the Outsiders, Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, to form the New World Order. The NWO was WCW's greatest weapon in the Monday Night War, pitting WCW's Nitro against WWE's Monday Night Raw. During his 6 years with WCW, Hogan won 6 WCW World Heavyweight Championships. Almost 1 year after the demise of WCW, Hogan, Hall and Nash returned to WWE as the reviled NWO in February 2002. While his third stay in WWE lasted less than 2 years, Hogan was once again embraced by the WWE Universe during his match against The Rock at WrestleMania X8 and later won his 6th WWE Championship from Triple H at Backlash 2002. In 2005, the Hulkster was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame by his Rocky III co-star and friend, Sylvester Stallone, and appeared at WrestleMania 21 the following night. In 2014, the Hulkster again returned to WWE and was the host of WrestleMania 30. The historic event began with Hogan, The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin, arguably the 3 most famous sports entertainers of all time, together in the ring to the delight of more than 75,000 WWE fans from all 50 states and 37 countries at New Orleans' Mercedes-Benz Superdome, with millions more watching the first WrestleMania to air live on WWE Network. There are few names more synonymous with sports entertainment than Hulk Hogan, as the larger-than-life icon was a central figure in WWE's rise from a regional attraction to the worldwide entertainment leader. The Hulkster's superhuman size and undeniable charisma helped him reach heights once unthinkable in sports and entertainment, as Hogan packed 93,173 fans into the Pontiac Silverdome for WrestleMania 3, won 6 WWE championships, starred in movies and set the standard for what a WWE superstar could be. WWE extends its condolences to Bollier's family, friends and fans, the World Wrestling Entertainment, WWE stated. What's amazing about Hulk? He had scores of surgeries as a result of wrestling injuries. He told Harvey during a taping of Objectified, he had no original body parts left.
Bringing you the news in a more digital way.
Family of the late Nigeria former president, Muhammadu Buhari, on Sunday issued and released a letter of appreciation to people who sent in condolence messages after the former Nigeria president died on Sunday, July 13, 2025 at a London hospital, but the Buhari family mentioned several names they considered as notable people among those who sent in condolences, which some of them did not attend the burial ceremony and apparently ignored 3 former presidents of Nigeria that were major rivals to the late Muhammadu Buhari's presidency, despite the fact that former presidents Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, GEJ, Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida, IBB, and Olusegun Obasanjo, OBJ, were among the notable personalities in the society to send condolences early enough to the family and the nation at large exactly same day Buhari died, while OBJ personally issued video press release to mourn the death of Muhammadu Buhari. GEJ, after issuing condolence message, visited the family of late Buhari in London the next day to console with the bereaved family, and also, IBB, after mourning the demise of late President Muhammadu Buhari, sent his children led by Mohamed Babangida to Katsina State to pay the family and the people condolence visit over the death of the late former head of state, Muhammadu Buhari, that was ousted out of power as then Nigeria military head of state on August 27, 1985 by IBB in a bloodless coup that led to the arrest and detention of Buhari at a prison facility in Benin City for almost 3 years. Olusegun Obasanjo took over as Nigeria head of state in 1976 after Buhari's close associate in the Nigeria military, Murtala Muhammad, was assassinated on February 13, 1976, a military head of state which Buhari was part of the group of officers that overthrew the government of General Yakubu Gowon and installed the assassinated Murtala Muhammad as head of state after the late Murtala Muhammad led the 1966 Nigerian counter-coup in overthrowing the military regime of Johnson Aguiyi Ironsi and played a major role during the Nigerian Civil War and thereafter ruled Nigeria from the 29th of July 1975, during which he made Muhammadu Buhari became the first governor of Borno State following the division of the northeastern state into Bauchi, Borno, and Gongola states on February 3, 1976. After Obasanjo became military head of state, Buhari served as governor of Borno from February 3, 1976, to March 15, 1976. During the era of Murtala, Buhari was previously appointed as the governor of the northeastern state from August 1, 1975, to February 3, 1976 until the division of the northeastern state and the subsequent creation of 3 states from the region. Obasanjo was a major political contender to Buhari after Nigeria returned to civil rule in 1999. Obasanjo defeated Buhari in the 2003 election and led his political party candidates, Umaru Musa Yar'Adua, Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, to defeat Buhari in 2007, 2011 respectively, and in 2015, Obasanjo announced his neutrality in Nigeria politics following his resignation from the People's Democratic Party, PDP ahead of the March 28, 2015 Nigeria general elections, and Buhari defeated the incumbent president Goodluck Ebele Jonathan to become Nigeria president in 2015 and subsequently re-elected for second tenure in 2019. According to Obasanjo, Buhari died at a time when Nigerians needed the totality of all those who have had experiences in running the affairs of the country in the past to bring their experiences and statesmanship out to salvage the current situation the country is faced with. Obasanjo in the less than 2 minutes video press release condolence message said that Buhari tried his best and was a big loss to the country, adding that it is his prayers that God should forgive Buhari, his inadequacies and accept him into his kingdom. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan in a statement after visiting the Buhari family in London on July 14, 2025, said, "I joined other sympathizers to pay a condolence visit to the family of late former President Muhammad Buhari in London this evening. I also visited the Nigerian house where I met with members of the federal government delegation who have come to accompany the remains of the former president to Nigeria for burial, including Vice President H.E. Kashim Shettima, Chief of Staff to the President, Right Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila and Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Yusuf Tuggar. May Allah forgive the shortcomings of late President Buhari and grant him Al-Jannah Firdaus." On July 13, 2025, shortly after the announcement of Buhari's death, Goodluck Ebele Jonathan issued a statement and said, "It is with a heavy heart and profound sense of national loss that I received the news of the passing of former President Muhammadu Buhari, who died at the age of 82. President Buhari was a notable leader, patriot, and elder statesman who served our beloved nation as both a military head of state and president, to the best of his abilities. He will be remembered as a courageous leader, a disciplined officer, and a committed public servant who made considerable contributions towards the peace and progress of our dear nation. The late president was deeply admired across the strata of society for his decency, integrity and exemplary life of service. As a leader, he was selfless in his commitment to his duty and served the country with character and a deep sense of patriotism. In his passing, Nigeria has lost one of its foremost leaders, and I have lost a respected colleague and elder. His legacy will continue to endure in the hearts of all who value sacrifice, integrity, perseverance and devotion to national ethos. On behalf of my family and the Goodluck Jonathan Foundation, I extend my heartfelt condolences to his immediate family, the good people of Katsina State and all Nigerians who mourn this great loss. May Allah forgive his shortcomings, accept his good deeds and grant him Jannatul Firdaus." This Day newspaper on July 13, 2025 reported that Nigeria, former military president, General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida, has paid glowing tribute to former President Muhammadu Buhari, who died on Sunday in London at the age of 82 years, describing his passage as the loss of a symbol. General Babangida, in the tribute he personally signed and titled, "Tribute to a Brother Friend and Patriot, Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, in Minna, his country home, declared, "His, Buhari, passing today is not just the loss of a former head of state, or a two-term civilian president, it is the loss of a symbol, a man whose life embodied the transition of Nigeria from the old guard to the new republic. A man who, even in retirement, remained a moral compass to many, and an example of modesty in public life." According to Babangida, the late former president, Buhari, beyond the uniform and the public glare, was a deeply spiritual man, a man who found solace in faith, and who carried himself with the humility of someone who believed in a higher calling. "We may not have agreed on everything, as brothers often don't, but I never once doubted his sincerity or his patriotism," Babangida stated. Describing the deceased as, "my friend, my brother, my coursemate and a fellow soldier in the journey of nationhood," Babangida said Buhari stood out, quiet yet resolute, principled yet humble, deeply patriotic and fiercely loyal to Nigeria. "Through the years, we shared trenches and trials, dreams and disappointments, victories and moments of reflection. Our bond was forged not only by military training, but by a shared commitment to the ideals of service, discipline, and love for country," he said. The former military president expressed his condolences to his beloved wife, Aisha, his children, grandchildren and the nation he loved and served. He prayed Allah in his infinite mercy to forgive the deceased's shortcomings, accept his deeds and grant him al-Jannatul Firdaus. Days after Buhari was laid to rest, Babangida sent his children and other members of his family led by Muhammad Babangida on a condolence visit to Governor Dikko Umaru Rada at the government house in Katsina, following the passing of former President Muhammadu Buhari. Speaking on behalf of the delegation, Chief Imam of the IBB Residence Mosque, Alhaji Ibrahim Aliyu offered heartfelt prayers for the late president, describing him as a man of integrity whose life left a lasting impact on the nation. He prayed for Allah's mercy upon him and asked for strength and comfort for the people of Katsina State and Nigeria as a whole. Governor Rada thanked the delegation of former President IBB for their visit, noting the long-standing bond between former President Babangida, the late President Buhari, and Katsina State. He reaffirmed the deep sense of loss felt by the entire nation and emphasized the importance of unity and continued service to the people in honor of the late president's enduring legacy. The governor particularly prayed for former President Ibrahim Babangida's strong health in his continued service to the country. Muhammad Babangida was accompanied by his sister, Halima Babangida, a director at NEXIM Bank, Muhammad Haruna, Aminu Abubakar Al-Haji, and the chief imam of the IBB Residence Mosque, Alhaji Ibrahim Aliyu. The late President Buhari family in a press release on Sunday is signed and made available to the public by the former presidential senior special assistant to Muhammadu Buhari on media and publicity, Garba Shehu, said, the most senior member of the Buhari family, the family of the late President, Muhammadu Buhari, Malam Maman Daura has, on behalf of the family expressed gratitude to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and his wife, the First Lady, Senator Remi Tinubu for their role and that of government of the Federation before and after the passing of the former president. It is truly comforting to receive such support from the President and the Vice President, Kashim Shettima, who went to the United Kingdom, and here in Daura, for the days he and the ministers during the mourning period. These have instilled confidence in all of us to face this loss with courage. We are deeply grateful to the President on his thoughtful gestures in declaring a public holiday and renaming the University of Maiduguri after Buhari. Our gratitude also goes to leaders of the various countries around the globe who either came in person, sent representatives, sent letters, or placed personal telephone calls to commiserate with us. Of special note were those of the King of England, King Charles III, the Secretary General of the United Nations, the Deputy Secretary General, Amina Mohammed, the Chairman of the African Union, and that of the Committee of Heads of State and Government of ECOWAS countries, and our former Head of State, Abdul Salami Abu Bakr. Muhammadu Buhari's demise is an irreparable loss and its pain is beyond words. But the general reaction and kind expressions give us the strength to cope with the loss of our esteemed family member and former leader of the country. The family is equally grateful to Vice President Kashim Shettima in his own person and his wife, and to all state governors, especially those of Katsina, the host governor Dr. Dikko Umar Rada, Professor Babagana Umar Azulam of Borno State and all those who visited us in the UK and Daura from Adamawa, Kano, Kwara, Lagos, Kaduna, Imo, Nasarawa, Bauchi, Sokoto, Kebbi as well as the several former governors, including Mr. Peter Obi for the compassionate words of condolence. Your empathy has touched our hearts deeply, and we are truly grateful for your kindness. We express our deep appreciations to former Vice Presidents Atiku Abubakar, Architect Namadi Sambo, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, and Ambassador Babagana Kinjabe, as well as to the President of Senate, Godswill Akpabio, the Speaker, House of Representatives, Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, Deputy Senate President Barau Jibrin and the other leaders and members of the National and State Assemblies. We do sincerely thank the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, SGF, Senator George Akoum and his predecessor in office, Boss Mustafa, the current Chief of Staff, Honorable Femi Bajabiamila and his predecessor, Professor Ibrahim Gambari, former and serving members of the cabinet in both administrations, for their activities in these events and the comforting words. We are very pleased with the amazing gestures of our traditional leaders, notably the Sultan of Sokoto, the Shehu of Borno, the Emir of Gwandu and the host emirs of Katsina and Daura, as well as the various emirs and chiefs from all over Nigeria and the neighboring countries who came in person or sent representatives. We have been honored by the large turnout of religious leaders, Islamic, Christian and of other faiths, community leaders, women, youth and politicians of various leanings whose surge in Daura was both challenging and reassuring. The family in Daura is also thanking past and serving security and intelligence, police and military leaders, permanent secretaries, and the rank and file civil servants, community groups and associations, civil society, and the media. The family expresses its appreciation to the nation's business leaders who visited Daura in the persons of Al-Haji Aliko Dangote, Abdul Samad Isiaka Rabiu, Al-Haji Muhammadu Indimi, Al-Haji Dahiru Mangal, Kola Adesina and Nasiru Dano. We also take this opportunity to thank the entire citizens of this country and those of other nations represented by their missions in Nigeria. All of Nigeria came out in force to bury Buhari and condole with us and pray for him. We are deeply grateful for the visits, the condolence messages, and prayers on him.
Posters Welcome Radio, bringing you the news in a more digital way. Posters Welcome Radio, bringing you the news in a more digital way.